Sharing is caring, and today's episode is very special because I am here with a friend, with a partner, a colleague, and a person who I deeply admire. Abigail Somma from Gratitude Buddies. I will tell the story later on how I met her and why she's here. But first, I want to start by asking you a little bit about you, what you are, who you are, what you do.
So my name is Abby, and thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here. And I have a company called Gratitude Buddies, which I started a few years ago. And it sort of comes from the roots of my mindfulness practice or my meditation practice, which I probably started about 20 years ago. And then I got some certifications to bring mindfulness into companies and businesses. And from there, I started Gratitude Buddies, which I kind of think of as a first cousin. And it's a way for people to both practice and to connect with other people around gratitude.
I love it. And the reason why I wanted to have Abby in this space is because, first of all, she's a mompreneur, super hardworking and very inspiring mompreneur. But also the business idea I find super interesting and super engaging to what I do. Because I was obsessed, with emotions for 8 years, but focusing more on basic emotions, joy included. And when I studied joy, I saw it actually as a cause and a consequence of gratitude. Mm-hmm. Therefore, joy was this sort of precedent or the beginning of something huge, which is gratitude that really connects with people in a very deep way. However, when I met you, you made me realize that that's part of the story. That we need to connect with another part of gratitude. So the first question that I have for you is, what is gratitude?
So that's an interesting question, actually. And I think that there are some social scientists that say it's actually hard to define. It has many different dimensions to it. And it can be a virtue, a character trait. It can be connected to joy and has different elements. But for me, I put it into 3 buckets. Like when I came down, there's really 3 aspects of gratitude. And the first is the one that you mentioned. It's connected to joy, and it can be a pathway to joy. It can lead us to more joyful lives. The second is actually about when we're struggling. And I think some people feel like when they're in pain, when they're in grief, when they're in sorrow, that there's no space for gratitude. But for example, I was working on a PowerPoint presentation during the wildfires in Los Angeles. And I was just really struck by how interview after interview, people would say things like, oh, I lost everything, but I'm so grateful I have my cat, or thank God I have this, or thank God. So it can help us during these times of struggle and these times of pain and sorrow to focus on our values and our priorities, and it can really have a place during those periods. And the third bucket that I put gratitude into is expressions of gratitude, how we connect to other people through the way that we acknowledge them, appreciate them, and witness them through gratitude. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So gratitude is indeed a very special type of emotion because it kind of tackles both negative but also positive emotions in a way that you have this sort of holistic thing that makes you connect with yourself, with someone else, and also with this state of mind that makes you feel better, right? In a way.
It can. Like I think if you're in the space where you just have no space for being grateful for, and you're just really okay, that's okay. And maybe we just have to allow ourselves the space to feel those feelings, and then I think over time, we were speaking about this before, you begin to see those feelings as almost like messengers, and then you can get to this bit. Well, thank you for showing up because I know you have something to teach me. It's not always available to us, but when it is, that's when we get to this space of authentic gratitude, and we feel that rising up even in spite of being in pain.
So let's talk about the business case now, because this is a space to help business owners in different aspects of their lives, and you do have a business about gratitude. on gratitude, which I find amazing. Like, wow, yeah, that's what the world needs. The world needs more gratitude in general, but I was like, oh my God, how is it possible? Like, I'd love to learn more about it. So what do you actually do, and how can companies benefit from gratitude?
So I do a few things. So first of all, I have the online platform. I bring well-being workshops into companies, but specifically, which include gratitude, and specifically around gratitude, there is a lot of really good research that shows that companies that have more grateful cultures have greater employee engagement, lower turnover. There was one study that showed when employees were thanked before doing a task, those that were thanked were made 5 times more calls in the case that was given. And so it can lead to greater productivity, but it's important to remember that we don't want to use these as like manipulative tools, or we don't want, we really want to get to this space where that's authentically the culture, and where appreciation, especially when it comes from the top, is actually embedded in the culture, so you can see it even in the policies of the company. So it's not just about like, oh, let me make sure I thank Joe for doing it, but it's really in the whole pyramid of what the company offers and what their values are and how they communicate that to their employees.
Thank you for making that point, because I think that is the point. Like, it's not about saying thank you if you don't mean it, right? But the point is, how do you really mean it? Like, how to get there? Like, to actually be thankful or having gratitude, you have to see the person, you have to connect with someone. So there is like steps,
absolutely,
before the meaning, the actual meaningful thank you. So it's not just, and I think that's a very, very good, very, very important point, because we get usually some messages on social media or in general, like, happy employees, the happy culture, joy promotes or incentivizes, impacts productivity, which is kind of obvious, right? But how to get there, I think that's a crucial point, because joy, like genuine joy, first of all, is not that easy to induce. So you either have to self-induce it or create or have this sort of ideal conditions for you to be joyful, right? And that's the first step to actually get into happiness. That's a long story. So this happy culture that is a bit superficial, I think doesn't get to the point of gratitude. So what I do like about what you do and your platform and the holistic, if I can call it that way, way of gratitude, is that it has to be genuine. It has to be a real gratitude to work. Right? I love it. So can you tell us what companies can do to generate more gratitude, authentic gratitude within their companies?
Yeah, so I think that we've all had this experience. I know I've had it many times, where we work with somebody who they're just so happy that you're there, and they're so happy that you're helping them. You really feel it's coming from them in this authentic way. And then you also have these experiences where you think the person, your boss, your supervisor, feels like you should feel lucky to be there. And maybe there's some truth to that, but you get this sense that there's not that authentic appreciation. And that's what we're talking about and what we want to cultivate. And I think one way to work with managers is to really talk to the staff, talk to employees about the meaningful thank you, about what it's like when we slow down and we really recognize people. And I often like to say it's not just thank you, but it's thank you for, and to get specific about what the details are and why we're thanking the person to really become aware of their contribution and what we notice. You can also think about embedding gratitude as a value in the company. Maybe there's a gratitude wall in one of the communal rooms where you can write things to people. And there are different ways to really bring it into the culture. And as I said before, I also think it's really important to think about the macro issues and the policy issues of the company, because we don't want to be well-washing where we're like, oh, we're a gratitude culture. But actually you see it in things like time off and in caring for children and elderly parents. You really want to see it throughout the whole culture.
That's something I really love. I worked actually in a huge company where we had that kind of implicit, but there was no real policy about it, and I think that could be good. And that's actually the last message that we have for today. If you are still here watching us, that means that you like the topic and you're interested in learning more about gratitude and how to bring it into your business, into your company, into your team. Because personally, I have seen it work. Personally, I know the research. I know it is a great tool. And also we have here an expert of gratitude, which is why we want to invite you to participate, to join us in a webinar that we have created together with Abby, in which we bring on specific tools for business owners to incorporate gratitude practices into their daily jobs. In this way, we not only create practice, a meaningful practice that start changing our mindset for our more peaceful and productive daily life, but also in the long term, we provide a company with the tools to actually engage a culture of gratitude within their team, which is not only helpful for productivity, but actually from the well-being of a team, resulting on less fluctuation, of more productivity as a whole, as a team, better communication, what can go wrong with introducing a gratitude strategy or gratitude policy in your company, right?
Well, I want to say one other thing. I think like when we think about gratitude, and we talked about this as well before, but that we want to look at it really holistically. And so it fits with all these other tools, and it fits really well when you start incorporating, because let's say a lot of companies struggle with difficult conversations. It's a very typical problem in a company. And it may be something that gratitude has a place in. Maybe you're acknowledging the person before you start the conversation. Then you work with the additional tools to really create the holistic connection around this topic, and I think it can be amazing.
It's awesome. So this really excites me. I love it. I also love the topic of emotional intelligence in business, and I think this is sort of part of it, to really be aware of which emotion you're missing, which emotion you can have, you can promote, and gratitude is definitely a fundamental one, not only for individuals, for teams, but for companies, because it can really generate a lot of positive indicators from well-being, teamwork, collaboration, communication, to productivity, lack of fluctuation, and everything else. So find the link below of the information about our webinar. We are very excited to put this together. As you can see, I am perhaps the more positive emotions sort of part and a more business sort of part with marketing and indicators. And Abby has this amazing, holistic, mindful, absolutely beautiful way to present gratitude. And I think we have a great team.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
do you think?
I can't wait.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby. Thank you all for watching. See you next time, and keep being inspired.
Bye.